I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. All right. Welcome, everyone. It is the Our Turf Football Podcast. I am your host, Dana O'G. Dana O'Gorman. For those who don't know, with me is Lisa Johnson. Kate, kinda. She's kind of with it.
Here.
I'm not really sure what's going to happen with Kate. We'll have to wait and see. I know the Guardians. We're going to talk to Antoine about that. I'm really excited about that. And also joining us is Antoine Stalley. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. How are y'all doing?
Oh, he's all right. We're all right.
He's all right.
Pumping him up. He's like, I'm all right. It's fine.
All right. It's all right.
We are so excited to have you here. We love you. One of our favorite follows on Twitter. For those of you who don't know, because I think everyone must know at this point, Antoine is an NFL and college football reporter, and he is the knower of all things. But Antoine, I heard a little rumor that you are also a baseball fan. Is that true?
Yeah, I like pretty much all sports. So, yeah, I definitely am a baseball fan.
He's a Red Sox fan. Come on, just put it out there. He's a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, I am. But, yeah, I love baseball, too. So, I'll watch just about anybody.
I'll watch any sport. I am so jazzed between the Olympics and soccer and the Gold Cup and baseball. It's so fun. Like, there's 24-hour, sports right now. I'm just absolutely loving it. Kate, I'm going to make you mute if you don't quit coughing. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. So let's go ahead. Antoine, we have a few questions for you, and we're going to start with Kate's adjusted shirt that she has on there. So we're going to start with baseball, believe it or not. I know this is a football show, but we're going to start with baseball because it kind of leads into another conversation. So Cleveland has changed the name of their baseball team to the Guardians. That was a decision that came after, I think, a full year. Kate, is that correct? Of them kind of looking at names and deciding what they were going to do?
Sorry, I'm coughing today.
He does not have COVID, I promise.
Yeah, they spent the last year talking to not only Native Americans in the Cleveland area, but Indians fans and just people in the community and trying to get a feel for what they wanted to do. And I think they wanted to kind of get ahead of the curve, so to speak. The Washington football team still hasn't made a decision. Atlanta still has the Braves. There are a lot of team names that you could argue were kind of sketchy. So last Thursday, we were notified that there would be a huge media announcement on Friday. And obviously we know they didn't make the decision on Thursday on what the name was going to be. They had to go through MLB to get approval. They had to lock down all the websites and social media accounts and stuff associated with the new name. But they got it done and they made the announcement, and it is met with, I'm going to say on the positive side, I'm going to call it mixed reaction from the fans. So I think all of us are on social media enough to know that the people who are not happy are the loudest people, and the people who are happy don't say anything at all. And so if you go to social media, it looks like everyone hates the name, when the reality is that's just the loud people that are voicing an opinion. I'm just glad they made a decision. I just find it interesting that they didn't wait until the season was over, that they did it at this point in the season. And the name doesn't take effect, the change doesn't take effect until the new season. Mm-hmm. So on the radio show that I do, we've been asked to refer to them as the Cleveland baseball team until the end of the year. CBT. Yeah, but I'm friends with Natalie Turk, who covers the team for Sports Illustrated, and she said they've been told they're still the Indians through the end of the year, and she doesn't have to worry about Guardians until next year. So the timing was interesting. But other than that, it's been a fun 4 days if you're a social media person paying attention to Cleveland baseball.
For sure. Antoine, what do you think about this? I mean, this bleeds into the Washington football conversation. It leads into the Kansas City Chiefs, which are obviously now trying to pull away from some of the iconography that they use and things like that. What do you think about this, kind of Cleveland kind of leading the way? And do you think it'll take hold quickly with all the other teams that still have those, what some people would call questionable names?
I'll answer the second question first. I think it's going to just depend on just how the organization feels about the name, and also the fans and people around that surrounding area. I think every situation is different. With the Braves, you may find a little bit more resistance to it. That's what I'm kind of finding. Is other names out there. People talk about the Chiefs or Seminoles or stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you're walking that line. So it just depends on how that organization and how that fan base really feels truly about that name. And yeah, I mean, I think it was good that they decided to get out in front of it just to get a nickname now, as opposed to, I guess, waiting to the end of the year or whatever the case may be. Me personally, about the name, I was kind of disappointed, but at the same time, I wouldn't it's worse things they could have picked. So I'm not necessarily tripping or voicing my displeasure of it. I thought Cleveland Spiders would have been great, just simply because it's a historic theme with it. And so if you're going to go from Indians to another name, I thought Spiders would be the natural transition to it. But, it's all right. I mean, it'll be all right. We'll get used to it like anything else, and that'll be that.
Mm-hmm. I did see the Spiders quite a bit on social media. That seemed to be what kind of people liked. I don't really know that really lends itself to baseball right now with all the other trends and names. And I like Guardians, I guess, but I did kind of like Spiders. I'm not gonna lie, but I think it's really interesting. I think especially, and Lisa, with Washington, I think it was smart of them to just sit as a Washington football team for a couple of years with all the other stuff that's going on in their team, organization, all of that other stuff. But I think that there needs to be a point made. It is different for the Seminoles, if I am correct, right? Like they actually pay the
Florida down here. Yeah, the Seminoles. Yeah. And they have given, and I think that FSU has gone beyond their way to make sure that everybody knows that this is a historic thing, and the Seminoles, are prestigious to Florida down here. So I think it's okay. The Washington football team just needs to get a name. Because old school like me, I always just forget, and it makes me feel like I said a bad word. And it's like,
you did say a bad word.
I did. I keep doing it. It's just like, because I was 3-4 years old. It's ingrained to Washington. You grow up with it, so it's muscle memory in my head. It just comes out. So it's like, please come on, And then they're laughing because it's the WTF league football team, so it's like, come on. Come on. So, and they're like, tell Lisa, just go with that. Just say the WTF football team. I was like, I'm trying, because I gotta do something.
WFT, Lisa. WFT.
You gotta do something. Do something.
Lisa, I'm dyslexic. I can say WTF and get away with it. You are not, so you have to say WFT.
It's so funny. Well, moving on. There's so much we want to talk with you about. So I'm not gonna lie, Antoine, I'm real sick of talking about Aaron Rodgers, but here we are talking about Aaron Rodgers some more. It's annoying, but he managed to show up for his job today. So everyone got all in a tizzy and was also super excited because supposedly he and the team have come to an amicable divorce at the end of this season. I don't know how amicable it's going to be if they don't play well this year, but we'll see how that goes. So what do you make? What do you make of this whole Packers situation? Do you think the team is just ready to move on from him? That's why they're giving in to him? Or do they think that they just, they have no other leverage with him? I'm not a fan of quarterbacks. I'm going to let you know that right now. And so it's like, this bothers me just a little bit. But, we'll see how that goes. But what do you make of this situation?
I thought this was going to be the ultimate end for it. I thought this was exactly what was going to happen, just simply because, first of all, they took it's not the Jordan Love, that was the entire reason why he was upset. But, anytime you draft a quarterback in the first round and even trade up to go get a quarterback in the first round, at some point he has to play. And you can sit him for a couple of years. I don't think sitting him for 3 years in this day and age and climate in NFL is realistic. So you're gonna have to play him at some point. So I think it made sense in that way, the direction as well. I just think that also it gives the Packers a little bit more time to maybe see what they have, maybe in Jordan Love, do practices and things of that nature too, and then see if they can win another Super Bowl. See, that's kind of what it boils down to. They have one last chance, like they call it the last dance, I guess, sort of like Michael Jordan and the Bulls and all of that. But they have one more opportunity to see if they can win the title. if they don't win it this year, they can just blow the team up. Devontae Adams is a free agent after the season. He can move on, and then they can just start the rebuilding process that way with a new quarterback and a fresh slate too. But yeah, I thought it was just the right decision for everybody just to kind of move on after the season. And it gives Aaron Rodgers some closure and an opportunity to go play for somebody else.
Right. And with a few years left in his contract, I equate it to kind of what Peyton Manning did at some point when he left there. He really wanted to go to a team. Here's the interesting thing to me, though, and Lisa or Kate, either one of you can answer this. That team is good. You know, he has he could stay there for a few years and probably always contend, and yet he's whining. Lisa, you love quarterbacks. What the hell's wrong with him?
He's a quarterback. That's what's wrong with him. You know, he's a leader. He's he wants things to work out. He wants weapons around him. He wants, an offensive line. He wants, like I said, I think it was like Antoine said, I think this was the ultimate. I think this is what he wanted. I think Antoine hit it right on there. I think this is what he wanted. He wants to decide his own road. And I think this is, like you said, the last dance. He wants to see if he can get it. My question is, can he stay healthy? I mean, because what are you going to do if you're game 4 or 5 into here, Antoine? He gets hurt. Love comes in and starts doing great. What happens then? Do you just say, okay, well, here's our future, have a seat? I mean, so it's kind of interesting to see if he can stay healthy and what Love can do. I love Jordan Love coming out of college. Mm-hmm. I did, and I would love to see what this kid has. I'm looking more towards the preseason of the Packers because I just want to see what the kid can do under there. And we're always saying that, like with Ben Roethlisberger, how many times have the Steelers fans even said, we need to draft somebody, for Ben. We need to, have our backup. Okay. So you're saying that if we take a quarterback in the first round, that automatically means our quarterback should become disgruntled? Is Aaron Rodgers really worried about beating out Jordan Love? He's Aaron Rodgers.
No, I don't think it was that. I just think that the moment you take Jordan Love, that signals like the sand in the hourglass is essentially going the other way. Like eventually he's not going to be a Packer anymore. Like you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube at that point. Like it's done. It's over with. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think it's necessarily, and he went through this too on the other side of it with Brett Favre too.
Right.
So I think he has a different perspective of it, but he just knows that eventually he wants to control his own fate instead of a team eventually just getting rid of him maybe at the end of his career when he's no longer the same player that he once was. So I think he wants to be still in his prime, but also be able to go an opportunity and choose where he wants to go.
I agree.
Yeah, you don't draft Jordan Love unless you've got 2 years left on your quarterback.
Correct.
Because you're not gonna sit him for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. He's a starting quarterback caliber player. He could have started for probably 25 other teams. He would have been starting already. So, I'm probably the oldest one in this little group of 4 of us here having this conversation. And Lisa made me think of Wally Pipp. God forbid Aaron gets hurt and misses a game and Jordan Love's got to come in and he can't get his starting job back. We call that getting Wally Pipped here in the old school realm of Kate. But I'm still
Drew Bledsoe, exactly.
I'm still fascinated by the idea that Lisa gave me last week of the image of Aaron Rodgers in Denver. I think he has a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl if he was the quarterback of the Denver Broncos than I think he has in Green Bay.
I actually agree with that too because I think they have a better surrounding. Their defense is great. They have a great supporting cast. They have great skill position players. I think the one thing that they're really missing is really the quarterback. That's it. I mean, if you can address that, then I think they're definitely a playoff team. I'm not saying they're better than the Chiefs, but they're definitely a playoff team.
Mm-hmm. Well, and people downplay the weather. And if I learned nothing else from Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, it was that the favorable weather can help extend the career of a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And playing in Denver, I think Aaron Rodgers' numbers would be insane as a season, after a season of 8 home games. Wait, we have 17 games this year? Okay, 8.5 home games in Denver or however that math works, without having to play in Lambeau Field all year. I think it would do amazing things to extend his career even longer than he'll be able to play now.
But then Denver becomes the retirement town, right?
And if they can go to the Super Bowl and win championships, I guarantee the Bronco fan won't care.
I'm taking it too.
Absolutely. Browns fan would have taken that stuff all day. The quarterback carousel that we've dealt with, we're going to earn our championship this year and begin our dynasty 13-4. You heard it here. We're going to start the run. We're going to win the next 4 Super Bowls. I'm going to stop drinking before the podcast, and then we'll have a better conversation. I'm just saying there were times in the last, since the Browns came back, that I didn't care if it was a quarterback carousel. The place where veterans went to get that one Super Bowl, Denver fans wouldn't care.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. All right, so let's move on to
going 13-4. You've definitely been drinking.
Write it down, Lisa. Write it down.
All right. So then the other thing we wanted to chat with you about was kind of the other hot topic of the week, which was Desean Watson. So it was a big stinking deal that he showed up for training camp, which I'm like, because the boy's not losing $50,000 a day. I mean, that's just dumb, right? Because he might not play this year, so he might need all the money he could get. But at the same time, he showed up in Houston, still states he has no plans on playing for Houston. He still wants to be traded. Antoine, I want your thoughts on a team that would take on the possibility of spending that much money and then not having a quarterback to play for at least maybe a year. Now, we know that these civil cases against him aren't going to be heard for a year at least. Yeah. And so, more than likely he'll play this year, maybe, because there have been cases where, they have given 6-game suspensions, even if it wasn't a criminal case. I mean, that was Ben Roethlisberger and Ezekiel Elliott. And so the NFL could still change their mind on that. But what team? I have a team in mind who I think would actually do it. But what team or what type of team do you think would actually take that kind of chance? And is what Houston asking for ridiculous?
I think Eagles. I think the Eagles off top because, look, you got a first-year head coach there. Even if you go, you only win 3 games, it's really no pressure on him. He's probably not going to get fired in the course of the season. So, yeah, I think that would be the most likely scenario for him. And then you can, even if he happens to get suspended, you can wait a year and then just kind of run things back next year and see how things go. And then you have your franchise quarterback. So you at least go into free agency. You can say, okay, we got Desean Watson, come help us try to win and come here and, have success here in Philadelphia. So, yeah, I think that would be the most logical situation. As far as Houston, I'd be trying to get as much as I can too, because
sure.
Yeah, I think ultimately the 3 first-round picks might be a bit much considering this. What they should have done is just trade them in the offseason. That they would have got a lot more then, and then they wouldn't be going through the mess now. Now it seems like they have to trade them all of a sudden now because they avoid a distraction, and teams know that. So they're kind of we can call their bluff, and we're not going to give you 3 first-round picks. We might give you 2 now instead of the 3 we would have given you during the off season. But yeah, I definitely think I don't think it's ridiculous that they're asking for a whole lot, but at the same time, it's going to be hard to get that, especially with training camp. It's already started to begin. Players are already in there.
Well, but so many teams have already spent their money. That's why I was like, why would they? I mean, it was asinine for them not to do it at the beginning before all of this. I don't know. Yes, what's up, Kate?
We all, every year in training camp, somebody gets hurt. So there is this shocking injury where it's a running back, it's a receiver, it's a quarterback, and all of a sudden the price goes up for whatever is still available. And maybe Houston is thinking, we wait a couple weeks, God forbid somebody gets hurt. Clearly not anybody on my team. I'm just saying that now, knocking on wood, not jinxing it. But maybe there's a part of them that's thinking there may be a team desperate for a quarterback in 2 weeks because of injury that will give them 3 first-round picks.
I guess it's possible. I just don't know if you can give 3 first-round picks if you don't know if he's going to play for you right away or the next year. I think that's a lot to hang over someone's head. Antoine, I want you to tell you about the team I think might be interested. What about Washington?
I think that's definitely a possibility. I mean, they got a team that's ready-made to win that.
Oh, their defense.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick he's a solid option, but it's not a long-term solution. We all know that. And I think a lot of people have kind of built him up this year. And look, he's been on a lot of different teams for a reason. It's nothing to take away from his career. He's nearly 40 years old, but he's still going. He's had a journeyman career. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, let's just call it what it is. when you got an opportunity to get a guy like Desean Watson, who's a top 5 quarterback in the league, yeah, I wouldn't blame him. I would definitely inquire about that, especially when, you have a good young defense and a stud and Chase Young and some other players too on that side of the ball. Yeah, I think I'll definitely inquire about that if I'm Washington.
Right. Well, Lisa, it just makes sense to me because you have Fitzpatrick. So if all of a sudden the NFL comes down, puts him on the exemption list or whatever, you have Fitzpatrick there who you can trust to do a good job. Not a great job, not a franchise. He's too old for that, but a good job.
Good job.
But
then you just said both of you pointed out a good scenario. Both of you went to the NFC. So I think Houston would love that to get him out of the AFC because we could easily say, okay, what team were we just talking about needed a quarterback that was just a quarterback away? We were talking about the Broncos. But with the scenarios of the NFC, I think Houston would love to get him out of the AFC. So
yeah, and I think I was going to say the Eagles have draft capital too, so they have a ton, so they'll be able to give them pretty much what they wanted, as opposed to some other team where you might have to wait 3 consecutive years to get certain picks too when you're giving up that much.
Right.
Antoine, do you think Philadelphia is ready to give up on Jalen already that fast?
I don't. I mean, if you can get Desean Watson, I think you probably could. Yeah. Look, I would like to see him play a full season there because I think they would want to give him an opportunity. But my thing is, I kind of feel bad for him because you don't have a lot of skill position players there. It's kind of already set up for him to fail at this point because you don't have a lot around him. And then he goes out and has a average or mediocre season. People are going to be looking to replace him, especially with the amount of picks the Eagles have next year. And he was a 2nd-round pick. It's not like he was a 1st-round pick. So you can say we don't have that much invested in him, as opposed to with the Dolphins with Tua, he's a 1st-round pick. So we have a little bit more invested in him, so we can kind of wait a little bit longer and see how he plays.
And we're not going there.
No, I'm not going to bring that up because I've seen enough of that today.
I've seen enough of that for this last 2 days. What are you talking about?
Lisa, we're not talking about the Dolphins today. Well, Antoine, we appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. I love your football knowledge, and you are absolutely one of my favorite follows on Twitter. So I hope that maybe later in the season we can have you back again.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. Yeah, it was good being with y'all.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Okay, Lisa, we're not talking about the Dolphins today. You guys had 2 weeks without me to give the AFC love fest.
We talked about quarterbacks. We talked about kickers. We talked about the AFCs.
It's just offensive. It's just offensive,
we didn't ask him about the kicker.
Lisa, I have something to tell you.
Oh, no. You did not. Stop. You didn't.
So there's a certain football player, former football player, now retired, who is auctioning off his jersey, a game-worn jersey that is from a Super Bowl winning season and a game that he won in overtime. His name is Stephen Hauschka. And it was the Houston game that I went to in 2013 where he saved it. That's a Richard Sherman no-shoe touchdown game, that one. Guess who bid on it?
Did you bid on it?
Hell yes, I did. It's for charity. And if I win it, it's going to you. It's going to you in the frame. And you are going to have to put it up in your house. That's all there is to it.
It won't go. You know what? He did that. He won that game because why? Because he had one job. He had one job.
And he's really, really good at it.
Whatever.
Job. Lisa, so.
He had one job to kick
Either that or I'm going to take this picture down. I'm going to put it up and make you look at it every single time we do the show.
Absolutely do it, Dana.
That would be awesome. Because he did his one job that he was supposed to do. He did one job.
We're moving on. I'm just saying. No, I am very excited about that. I really am kind of hoping I win. But all right. We love house money. What?
How much did you pay? Jesus. You act like you're a lock. Does your husband know? Does your husband know you do? Okay.
I make my own money, honey. He doesn't have to give me permission.
She got Dana money, man. She got Dana money.
The Dana money.
All right, money. You don't have Lisa money?
Come on.
Your money's at the bar.
No, his money is our money. My money is my money. I don't understand this conversation.
All right, let's go back to this Desean Watson thing because I want to get your guys' perspective. We are 3 women here. We understand the allegations that are against him. We understand that they're all civil suits that are out him. I know 10 of the women have made complaints to the police department, and they're looking into it. But as of right now, there's no criminal case against him. Right. And not that I didn't want Antoine's opinion on this too, but I really want to hear from you guys about how you feel if he even should be playing right now. Like, where are you guys at with that? Because you guys know I'm a big fan. You can't take someone's livelihood with them until it's proven that they've done something wrong. But 22 women is a lot of women, you guys. That's a lot of people.
Okay, so we're all just sitting here. I'll say this. I'm with you. I have seen so many cases where, and Ezekiel Elliott is an example, where women have come forward and made allegations that were completely bogus. And it's offensive and shameful to me as a woman, because it makes it that much harder for women who are truly victims to come forward and be taken seriously when these false allegations come out. But 22
is a lot.
Struggling with 20, like one, maybe even two, I could be like, oh, let's wait until it plays out. 22 is hard to ignore and to not think there's something going on. I'd like to think the legal system will do what it does and it'll work its way out and things will be fine. And in any other job, I guess you'd still go to work and you'd do your job and all that. There are only on the entire planet Earth 32 starting quarterback jobs, and there has to be a moral standard to that. There has to be some kind of a line between you're really good and you maybe compromise. I don't know. I struggle with it. If he was my quarterback, I might feel differently. I'm willing to let him play while the legal stuff works its way out and not and just let that play out and handle it. But again, I'm also upfront enough to say if that was my football team and my quarterback, I might feel differently.
Right.
So
fair. Lisa, here, someone said so earlier today, I heard someone say that, it might be best for him to sit this year out. That if he sits this year out, because he doesn't want to play for Houston anyway.
Right.
And then, so he just sits out a year, lets this stuff play itself out, however it's going to play out, get himself out of the spotlight a little bit, and then put himself back in the market next offseason. What do you think about that?
I don't think that'll happen.
I don't think it'll happen either.
Yeah, he's football. He wants to start. I mean, in his mind, he's done nothing wrong. You got to understand that. Right. He's still saying, I mean, and like you said, it's hard because you're innocent until proven guilty. Mm-hmm. But we have certainly seen the league go back and forth on that, and we could debate that all night long.
So inconsistent.
Exactly, very inconsistent. And I think that's one of the major problems that we're having, because if it wasn't being consistent, he would sit out for 6 games before he was even, thought about. So I think you guys are exactly right. I mean, there's a lot of women. The thing is it's just so hard to determine the degree of law. I mean, it's like, okay, he just made them uncomfortable. What degree of uncomfortable? It's kind of hard because it's for me as a woman, it's easy for me to say it because I'm not in the situation or I was ever in the situation. So it's hard to say, but some of these women's stories, they're pretty consistent, of kind of what he was. And honestly, and it's our podcast and it's, we can say what we want to say.
Whatever the hell we want.
Exactly. We say what the hell we want. It's, I would think as a woman, if I'm putting it, I'm just, dude, get out of my shop. That's me. But I kind of think myself as a strong, independent woman. I'm going to do that. I'm going to say, get the hell out of here. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? I don't want to see your junk. What are you trying to do? I mean, but then again, there's some women that are very insecure and sensitive. Mm-hmm. What degree did he do it? Is kind of mine. And
it's like, that is some. I'm sorry, Lisa. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
But that is something. Statement that he says he really wants their statements made public, and maybe that's part of it. I'm not sure. Here's the thing. I always look at it this way. I'm not in the situation, but I am a true believer that you should not be able to take someone's livelihood from them until they've proven that they've actually done something wrong. And so I think that, we don't have a smoking video on this one. And so I think the NFL is going to take a hands-off approach until they look at it and find out more information. And that might be a year. So maybe this year he plays, but next year he doesn't. We'll just have to kind of wait and see how that goes.
Right. And now, if you're a team PR person, you're just probably going, oh, geez. Oh, please. Oh, please not me. Please. Because how are you going to feel? I mean, as a woman, you have a lot of women executives on football fields now. You have women coaches on football fields. It's once again, we find ourselves in the discussion every single year.
I know.
You know, and it's unnecessary. It's just unnecessary. You
So
know,
the
like you
interesting
said.
thing too about me saying he should go to Washington, that might be the last place they need him to go.
Exactly. You should take that back. I don't want to take that back.
If football's a good fit.
Poor Ron.
Otherwise, that's probably a really bad idea.
Poor Ron, you know, he's having his issues.
Riviera can save him from it.
Yes.
All right, we wanted to wrap up tonight's show talking a little bit about something that is not football related, but it can be football related. And we're going to end the show tonight talking about Simone Biles. Obviously, I think most people realize now that she pulled herself out of the team competition in the gymnastics, in the Olympics, in the gymnastics team competition today. And at first it was said it was because it was a medical issue, and then it came out later that it wasn't. I'm going to tell you my first reaction to this, and you guys can totally hate me for it. My first reaction was like, are you freaking kidding me? This is a team. She made a promise to her team. Like, I'm like, what? Like, I'm all, you know, freaked out about it. I'm like, that's just not what you do to your teammates. And then I was like, I'm mad because I was thinking to myself, what about the one girl who got 1.1 second, you know, place below that could have been on that team, and she took the spot? I went through all of these in my head, okay? And then I remembered something I read in a parenting magazine years ago, and it said the most mentally demanding sports that you have to watch children with, and in the I think it was either first or second, and Lisa, you will probably understand this, was gymnastics.
Yep.
It was
if
their brains, it's the hardest on their brains. It's one of the hardest on their bodies, and one of the most easy to get injured in. I think the only sport that was more easy to be like critically injured or killed in was NASCAR driving, like car racing. And so I was like, oh yeah, if your brain's not in it, you could hurt yourself. My whole attitude changed real quick. I'm not going to lie. I vacillated a little bit, but this brought up the question that actually Kate brought this up. And I think it was a really good question, is how important is the mental aspect to being the GOAT? And you guys know, I hate that term. I hate it. I like GOAT as in greatest of the era, but not greatest of all time. But she bought into it. And then I think the pressure just hit her too much. Kate, this was a weird situation.
You know, it was. And part of it was also, so like when we're watching what's happening, when they're putting the coverage on TV, it's hours after it's already happened. And I'm watching the preliminary rounds. And every time she performs and she gets scored, the two people that are commenting on it, Tim, what's his name, and Nasty, what's her name? I'm sorry. I'm the only one of the archer team who doesn't have gymnastics people in my family, are saying, wow, those execution scores were low. Do they not realize what she did? Maybe they're saving the numbers for people that are coming later. Like, they were making these comments in the preliminaries. And I think there's this, so I struggle with sports like gymnastics where it's all objective. I like football. Either you got 10 yards or you didn't. I like NASCAR, or I like a race. You either crossed the finish line or you didn't. I struggle with sports where you're judged. So I get the mental aspect of you're going to be judged on everything you do. And I think when it came to whatever went on this morning that will be on TV tonight for everyone to see, and from the clips that I've seen during the day-to-day, I did not realize she was the greatest of all time. They were calling her that until this week, because I'm, again, older. So my gymnastics USA, you know, I go all the way back to, I remember watching Nadia Comaneci when I was a kid getting perfect tens, and Olga Korbut and all. I'm that old. But they seem to like be setting the stage for the fact that she is so amazing that the judges are being harder on her than they would be on other people. And I've heard it more in basketball. LeBron James always complained that he never got the calls that other people got. And then you get to football with quarterbacks. Are they getting the calls other people get? Are they getting too many calls? Are they changing?
Tom Brady does not have
them?
that problem. Just
saying. Agreed. And I think to an extent, while mentally is really the reason she stepped out, I'm wondering if it's not, at the end of the day, better for the team, because if the judges weren't going to score her in a way that was fair and relative to what everyone else was doing, the consensus that I saw seemed to be that they were giving her lower scores because they didn't want to encourage other athletes to try to do the things that she could do, because they just physically weren't able to do these amazing, crazy things that she could do. And so maybe there was a little bit of, am I hurting the team? Because somebody, you know, we have a fifth girl. She can step up, that little cute blonde thing in the different uniform. She can step up, have her moment, and maybe she'll get a score that works. I can't even imagine. You know, Lisa, especially, you have a granddaughter who does gymnastics. I wish Sonia was here. She's got girls who do that.
Exactly.
I can't imagine the mental pressure of being judged that harshly.
Right. And Lisa, your granddaughter, I mean, she's really in high level.
Oh yeah, she's in high levels.
Gymnastics,
she's in states, and she's 8th in all of Florida in bars. I mean, she has competed. And what gets me about her is this is her idol. I mean, she looks up to this, she, you know, Biles is the epitome of hard work and dedication. When did that become a freaking crime or a punishment in the Olympics? Because the media can't handle it, or the other superstars can't handle it because she does things that they can't. When did that become punishable? And the pressure that the media puts on these sports people is crazy. You know, they did it. Remember when FloJo was in the Olympics? Yeah. Her long nails, her hair, they criticized her, they body shamed her, they, you know, they do everything they can. And to me, they started on her as soon as she was going. They started on like, well, oh, these women aren't gonna be. And to me, it was all just so much pressure on this kid. She did the right thing. You know, you stand up, queen, you stand up for yourself, and you do what's good for you. You do you, you know, and like I said, my granddaughter, this is her idol. And this is just shows you what hard work will get you. This is what hard work will get you. She does things other gymnastics can't, point blank. And now she's getting punished for it. Right. Because you already know she would have dominated. You already know, because there's nobody that can do stuff that woman can do. But she's worked her ass off to do these and get where she is. And now look what happened. You know, kudos for her for backing up and taking a break. Because you know what? It probably would have broke her.
Well, it literally could have broke her. She said on that vault that she did that she was halfway through her spin and she completely lost where she was in the air.
Right.
Are you kidding? She could have landed, broken her neck, and been dead on the floor in the live Olympics.
You know,
and her teammates could see that. They knew she was supposed to do a 2.5, and they're like, wait, she only did a 1.5. Okay, I don't do gymnastics. I couldn't tell the difference between a 1.5 and a 6.5. I got Lisa probably could tell. But all of her teammates, the video that I saw of it, they were on the sidelines like, what's wrong? What's happening? And then they're worried about her landing and literally hurting herself. Right. Because it just mentally, you have to be on top of every aspect of what you're doing with those. Because you're right, Dana, that is physically dangerous for you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I have a saying, today is not the day. And there are some days where today is not the day. I will look at that again tomorrow, but today is not the day. But today was the day for our live podcast. And I am so glad that all of you guys joined us and enjoy what we do. We appreciate, we've got some great feedback on being able to see our very sarcastic faces and our eye rolls.
And understanding what we're saying for being sarcastic and drunk.
Well, don't point at me.
I did. It just went that way automatically.
I wouldn't say drunk. I would say pleasantly inebriated.
She went to the
bar. Slurred. I made sense today, right?
She's celebrating the opening of the training camp, right?
You were fantastic. All right, everyone. We will be back again next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and we will see you then. Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.